we'll talk about that. And that gets into trust. Treat people, again, how cute is that? Treat people like adults. We often, those stop behaviors are when people are trying to control the workplace. You will have lunch from this time to this time. You will have 2 exact bathroom breaks. You will wear this. You will do that. You know, those kinds of, and look, I understand that there are some environments where you need uniformity. But I think also there has to be a sense of trust. And again, people will say to me, how do you know that people aren't cheating you? How do you know they really just didn't stay home? And I say, well, because we have controls. If you don't put in your time, and with our time, it's not like a time clock. I don't just put in, I work 2 hours on Blue Cross Blue Shield. I have to say what I did. And so my manager will look at that, and if she looks at that and says, it took you 2 hours to write that press release, the cheaters always get found out. And in an employee-driven workplace, you know who turns them in? The other employees, absolutely, because they're saying, they're making my job harder. They're not holding my weight. But if somebody's a jerk, why should I care? I'll just do less, and it won't get done. Who cares? Let that guy be a jerk. Let them find out he's cheating the system. Let them figure out that, he's not doing the work he's supposed to do. Flexibility and respect are the foundation of the employee-driven workplace. And as I said, if you invite employees to seamlessly integrate what I call personal obligations and work obligations, then neither will suffer. You cannot fit, in this day and age, especially in a lot of businesses, you cannot fit all of your work between 9 and 5. And you cannot fit all of your personal life between 6 and midnight and then on the weekends. I know there are many of us who have to work at night and on weekends. And there are personal things that have to happen during the day. If you don't allow for that, you can't expect it to be a one-way street. I expect you to give up your personal time, but I'm not going to give you back any personal time. And as long as you have systems in place to measure and monitor, it'll be fair. I call this the sick child conundrum, right? I mean, you have a sick kid, and you have an employee workplace that says you get 3 sick days. If your child is sick, you have to take unpaid leave. So what is a person going to do? More than likely, they're going to lie and say they're sick, right? They're going to say, I can't come to work today because they have a sick child, as opposed to in the appropriate, civilized workplace, you would say, I have a sick child, I'd like to work, if it's possible, could I work from home today? Or I'd like to take one of my PTO days. Or my child isn't contagious, she's just, following up, let me bring her to the office. It all depends. Some workplaces it's not appropriate. What I'm saying is you need to think about what is the appropriate civilized response. One culture. My favorite thing is when people build open offices, and what do? Who's got the private offices? Right? We got an open office for everyone. Well, except me, and except the VP, and except the CIO, and except the COO, right? Or we offer flex time to anyone above VP. If you don't have one culture, you really don't have a civilized workplace because you're changing the rules. You can have different perks, and I don't want to confuse the two. It's more of a sense of respect and the way you treat people. If the VPs don't have to say where they are, but other people do, that to me isn't a perk. That's a cultural issue. It means you trust the senior people and you don't trust the rest of us. So if you have one culture for the rank and file, and everyone understands that the rules apply equally, you will have a more civilized workplace. So the way we do our workplace, this is what we call the RBB Total Rewards Program. We break it up into 4 areas because people who care just about the pay and benefits part are usually not good RBBers. They have to recognize that we look at it holistically. The work environment counts equally as recognition and learning and development. And then we show the elements. Base pay, lots of time off. We pay 100% of everyone's health and dental. And, people always say to me, you're crazy. You can't keep doing that. And there are a lot of companies that face those hard choices. And I'm not saying that we're better because we pay 100%. We've decided that in our industry, we want to maintain that really high standard of caring for employees. And for some people, 75% is the right choice, or whatever the choice is. But I think that it's important for our message and our culture is for people to know that we really think that passing that cost on is not something that we want to do. We do, I don't care if you use your cell phone for personal calling. We have a giant snack wall in the office. When people are there late, sometimes they need a snack. We're filling it with like half healthy food stuff, but the healthy food stuff never goes as fast as it can. Cell phone, laptop, get flu shots. Now, the fact that we give $25 to go get a flu shot, Does that help the employee? Yeah, but doesn't it help us too? I don't want sick employees. Am I not always telling people to come in, hacking and coughing? Go home. Don't contaminate the rest of us. Work environment, flex time, telecommuting, the way our office structure is set up, which I'll walk you through. Award-winning culture, employee assistance, legal assistance, casual dress, the extras groups. These are the groups, every one of our employees participates in the management of the firm. You either belong to the works group, where you decide on all the stuff, the copy machine. You belong to the marketing group. You belong to the professional development group, or you belong to what we call the extras division. The extras division fosters teamwork and networking. And then we have little things like lending library. And then up in recognition, those are all the things we do to recognize, matching programs for donations. We offer a community pay day, 8 hours to volunteer. Because saying we want our people to be involved in the community is one thing. Offering to pay for your people to be involved in the community really says we mean it. Learning and development, professional development, teleseminars, individualized stipends, our cocktail conversations is not what it sounds like. I wish it was. But it's teaching people how to go network, and talk about the business. I also want to make sure we don't ignore the physical. There are 3 elements to the physical, what I call layout, decor, and tools. And Lisa, there you are. It's very important that your physical environment reflect a civilized workplace. Layout fallacies. Employees rated a manager who believed his door was open 95% of the time as having the door closed 95% of the time. Perception is reality. Most people say, I have an open door policy. But to many people, even if that door is open, there's that barrier. I got to step in there. I got to be recognized, and they could wave me away. Cubes is another thing. Cubes is my favorite because cubes gives you the illusion of privacy, right? Without any of the reality. How many times have you been in a cube and you can hear someone's conversation right on the other side, and you don't want to be hearing what they're talking about, right? And so you have to think about an open office, which has become very much the norm now. Can anyone figure out why I have these card pictures up here? The reason I have this up here is because a lot of people talk about an open office. But an open office is many, many things. That's like calling a Rolls Royce and Mini Cooper just car. That's like saying anything that you could eat that comes from an animal is meat. There's a big difference between chicken and pork and lobster. There are many different kinds of open offices. An open office could be cubes with low walls, could be cubes with high walls, could be partially open. There's a lot of different ways to skin the cat, and it all depends on what you're trying to achieve. This is our open office, and the factors that made importance to us were decision-making speed. We work in teams, so you can see we have these little 3Z desks, so that people can actually talk and see one another, but they have a little bit of the privacy screen there. Organizational learning. You can hear other people. You pick up on things. Employee job satisfaction and commitment. People actually in our office got to pick where they sat, the kinds of accessories they had, what kind of chair they wanted to sit in, so that they could have a sense of ownership and saying, I'm comfortable here. Where am I going to store my stuff? Where am I going to put my things? How are we going to decorate the office? Any important part of an open office is you must allow for communal space. This is our playroom. This is where people come if they want to listen to their iPod. I can't work listening to music. I start singing. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to be working, right? But a lot of people like to listen to music while they work. They can come in here if they need privacy. If they don't want to be out in the main space, they can go somewhere where they need to make calls. This is the den. This is where I call the old lady room. This is where I can sit in a real chair, not in a beanbag chair. But if I'm having a small group meeting, I can go in there. We also have 2 other communal meeting spaces that are set up, a library, a Starbucks-like kitchen, because on any given day, half the people aren't even in their office. They're out and about. So if you have all those 10 by 10 offices, they sit empty. That's wasted space. And if you want to foster teamwork, you want to encourage people to go to rooms that are comfortable, that will work to make them want to be there, and still allow them to have privacy. The second part is decor. Dirty, tired does not equal innovative, fun. So many times I go to offices that haven't been painted, since they first moved into the lease. Paint is cheap.